Any of the views expressed in this show do not represent the views or opinions of those participating. We are merely observers.
Please do not reenact any of the stories you hear on our show.
Being featured on our show is not something to be proud of.
And as always, please drink responsibly.
Everybody's got their stories ready to go. Everybody's got an erection. All right. Welcome to another episode of Laughs and Drafts. My name is Jason Thomas, your resident fancy boy.
I'm Jared, your learning man.
Is Tim the old man?
I'm Ethan, the world's largest dwarf.
The world's largest. So we're not going with the glasses. Are you eventually gonna find a name for yourself?
That's my dream one day.
Okay, one
It's
day.
like finding a home.
It's a Hallmark movie altogether. So for those who never listened to our show before, we are a podcast that covers strange news stories. We also cover a few different beers, talk about what we do and do not like about them. And sometimes we are gifted by the great goddess of Florida to bestoweth upon us a interesting story so we can continue to fuel our hatred. So we're going to go ahead and get to our first story of the night, and this one is from worldnewsdailyreport.com, and the headline reads, Elderly couple accidentally burns down house during sex game involving World War II flamethrower.
Whoa.
That was just that was a gift that kept on giving.
It just
kept going.
Wait, the gift's not over. Sand Springs, Oklahoma. A couple's sexual game turned horribly wrong this morning as they accidentally burned down their house with a 75-year-old flamethrower. Firefighters were called on site around 11:15 this morning after receiving an unusual phone call but could do nothing to save the 45-year-old house from being a total loss. Nancy Brown, the 911 operator who answered a call from a 96-year-old Maurice Fogarty, says she...
You should not be having sex if you're 96.
No, you should be. That's all you should be doing.
You just retire your genitals.
You got to die from syphilis, and you can't get syphilis without banging the nasties. So she says first she thought she was dealing with pranksters when he told her that he had torched the house with napalm while having sex with his wife. Here's the best part, and I remember reading this forever ago, and it's just this one line. He told me he was penetrating his wife with his M1 as usual, but got too excited and activated the flamethrower.
What?
Talk about your hot sex.
This is my rifle. This is my gun.
This is my rifle. This one's my rifle, and I'm going to put my rifle inside, not my penis, my literal rifle inside you, which is horrifying. Miss Brown says the explanation shocked her for a moment, and it took her almost a minute to realize it was actually true. He kept repeating that everything was burning, and I could hear his wife screaming behind him, but I still couldn't believe that this was for real. Mr. Fogarty and his wife... Fogarty. I like Fogarty better. Mr. Fogarty and his wife were transported to the hospital to be treated for psychological shock caused by the event, but were otherwise uninjured. They shouldn't face any criminal charges, but may have problems when it comes to claiming insurance policies, as damage caused by use of weapons during sex is rarely covered. A case involving a Gatling gun in 2004 and another involving a rocket launcher in 2011 have made their way to court, but in both cases, insurance companies didn't have to pay anything to the claimants. Can you imagine if you had the flamethrower and you were penetrating with the flamethrower and it went off?
Now I'm assuming it's a pegging.
I guess it could be. It could very well be a pegging experience. Anyways, Jared, take us away to our next story.
Florida man has been arrested on suspicion of attempting to run over his son because the child had refused to take a bath, according to reports. Joseph Riley, 45, was arrested after the Escambia County Sheriff's Office received a call about a car driving down the road at high speed. The eyewitness reported seeing a child running down the street while appearing to try and flee from a truck driver who was later identified as the suspect. The witness described how the child had run over to the house as he was scared that his father was going to run him over with his truck. According to an arrest report from the ESCO, Riley made numerous requests that the boy take a bath. After the boy repeatedly refused to do so, the 45-year-old threatened to spank him using his belt. prompting the boy to run out of the
I'm
house.
gonna spank you with the belt of my truck. I don't get it. If it's so, you were gonna be spanked by the belt, so you ran out of the house, and then the truck came into play. Why couldn't you just run back in the house where the truck is out of play?
Yeah, how do you jump from a belt beating to let's
that's-
just use the truck out?
Dad, where's your middle ground?
There is no middle ground. You're in Florida.
The arrest report suggests that Riley had been drinking heavily on the day in question. When officers arrived at the scene,
That's what you do in Florida. I mean, if we just want to be all cards on the table, it's just what we do in Florida.
Riley appeared to be so intoxicated he couldn't stand on his own.
How did you grab your keys, get into a truck, and then chase your son down? Have you ever been so inebriated that you shouldn't have been driving? I know you. I guess technically I know you have, because on this episode you had to crawl into the room one time. So
Yep, that's right.
So you know how much like everything moves whenever you're drunk?
Yeah.
Like it just everything like I've been a passenger in the car, and I remember Diana was driving, and I was just so impressed that she was staying between the lines because everything was moving around so much. So how are you honing in on your kid with a truck? Is beyond me.
Practice.
Yeah.
Do it enough times.
The Florida Olympics this
Yeah,
year.
I say I doubt it's the first time it's happened. Riley is also accused of not being cooperative and lunging at deputies during his arrest. The 45-year-old was arrested and charged with resisting officers and aggravated assault. According to Escambia County jail records, Riley is currently being held without bond. He is due to appear in court on February 28th to face the charges.
Okay, can we go ahead and say what county that was again?
Escambia.
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 It's like the
makes perfect
Narnia of
sense.
Florida.
Escambia.
Florida man is behind bars after he allegedly threatened to kill his neighbor with kindness. It's not what you think. Kindness is what the 30-year-old suspect, Brian Stewart, called his machete, according to police. Stewart of Milton was arrested on Thursday for an incident that allegedly happened Wednesday evening. It began when two of Stewart's neighbors went to the suspect's house concerned about yelling and banging that had come from the home all day. Stewart came out of the house with his arm raised, holding the machete, which had the word kindness written on it. One of the neighbors stepped in front of the other to block the blade and suffered a half-inch cut on his left arm.
God, this is like a Fox movie.
Yeah, this can be turned into a movie right here.
Saving
Starring
Private
Mark
Ryan.
Wahlberg.
Watch out. Starring Michael Wahlberg.
Is that not the one with Danny Trejo?
No, not Machete. This is Machete.
I think you ought to be
Machete.
cast
Where's
for
the
that, though.
part where he
Yeah.
rips his intestines out and jumps out of a second-story building?
Shockingly, the police took a breathalyzer test to him, and he smelled of alcohol. He was stunned with a taser and then put back with a patrol car. But
They
so
could
he
have
was-
grabbed him and just put him in the back of the
Patrol
car
Yeah.
and just stunned him anyway.
No, it's I mean, what's the fun of being a police officer if you don't get to use the tools that you're given?
Right.
It's like being an artist and saying you can't use your toothbrush. Your paintbrush. Dang it.
Use your toothbrush.
I'm worried about hygiene. Everybody's hygiene in Florida. That's why I brought it up, was specifically for that.
I don't think they're worried about it.
No, they're definitely not worried. Your kid's getting chased down because he's not taking a bath, so I'm assuming it's not really an issue.
I just wonder how he wrote it on there. I guess with a Sharpie for it to show up. Just a pen.
I mean, an artist, it can be whatever you'd like it to be.
Was this in Florida? Is that what this
Oh,
Yes.
Probably feces.
Probably feces.
And then baked it in the oven. So, you get that nice, it just maybe hardens it a little bit.
Does that make you like a Florida blacksmith?
It does, doesn't it?
I guess that makes you like.
I forget, what is it? I can't remember the name of it. What they'll put on like the edge of a katana to get that like wave in it. It's like a type of oil and paste.
Yeah,
In
you're
Florida,
talking to
it's
an
literally
idiot.
It's just their own feces that
Oh,
they just
okay.
spread on the edge of the blade. Like,
Look
this
how
will-
evenly
this'll
this
get it real
spreads out.
hard. And then, they stick it in the furnace.
You see, it cuts them and then it gets infected.
They die.
Florida, keep on giving me nightmares. All right, Ethan, your next story, please let it not be Florida.
No, this one's actually not Florida.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted some story to show that stupid knows no bounds. No matter what part of the world you're in, you can
That's what
still
we
be
talk
really
about
stupid.
a lot.
We're all idiots.
Man sentenced to 10 months in jail for calling in fake bomb threat to delay flight he was already late for. A man who was running late for a flight from London's Gatwick Airport attempted to delay his plane's takeoff by calling in a fake bomb threat. According to the publication, Jacob Abdelek, a French librarian who lives in East London, called police 8 minutes before his Norwegian air flight from Gatwick to Los Angeles. It was scheduled to depart at 5:47 a.m. on May 11th. When Abdelek arrived at the airport, his plane was still on the runway, but the boarding door was closed. So the airline staff denied him from getting on board. He then called the police department claiming there was a bomb threat on board, or there was a bomb on board, which caused passengers to be rescreened at security, effectively delaying the plane's takeoff by 90 minutes.
90 minutes, though. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick. I would expect it would have been a lot longer.
You would think. I was thinking like that plane was just not going to take off that day.
Yeah. Yeah, bomb threat? No, that's not too serious. We won't worry about that. We can still get you where you need to
Bring
be.
the dogs out and have them sniff around a little bit, and you'll get that mirror on the stick. We'll check under the plane.
Check your cavities.
Yeah, I mean, they told us, Tower told us that we needed to hold off here, and
I say we're number one.
I say we're number one. As you see, we're rumbling along the grass here.
It says ultimately, Abdelek was allowed to board the plane. However, when he showed up to the airport to board another U.S. airbound flight on May 22nd, he was arrested, as the phone number from the bomb hoax had been linked to the same one he used to book his airfare. In court on Tuesday, Abdelek pleaded guilty to communicating false information regarding a noxious substance likely to create serious risk to human health, despite originally claiming he had lost his phone SIM card. According to Reuters, he will also serve a 10-month prison sentence. This was quite a ridiculous decision made by Abdelek, who fabricated an extremely serious allegation purely for his own benefit, said the Gatwick police chief.
What? People are selfish?
That's crazy. He was
never.
He was running late for his flight and thought it would be a good idea to call in a hoax bomb. The police chief continued. However, this turned out to be the worst decision he could have made.
I would have taken out my genitals once they told me that the plane was not boarding and seen if that would have worked. Before I would have called in a bomb threat. But that's, I guess, just me.
To delay it further, or to try and get them to take off.
We'd still talking about genitals?
I just want to take out my genitals.
Well, you were. Well, sorry, maybe I heard it wrong, but you were saying if you heard about the plane being delayed, that you would take out your genitals. Is that what you said?
That's always a good response, really.
No, I just
Sir,
said that I just told you that if I was him, I would have taken out my genitals.
Oh.
I just think of all the
Okay. End of story.
all the other situations that could apply for. It's like, so you're at Buffalo Wild Wings, like, sir, your card's being declined. And you're like, wait a minute.
I'll just take out
How
my
does
genitals.
this do?
We'll see about
Let
that.
me slam this on the table. It's just the sound. It's like a little baby carrot falling on the table.
It actually bounces.
In its hand, in my genitals' hand, is another card that you can run.
Swipe
man.
this.
Swipe this in your mouth. Oh my god, it's been so long, and I just. Oh man, you know what? You know what will help me get this story out of my mouth? Our first beer
out
of
of
the
your
night.
mouth.
Okay, our first beer is from the Great Divide Brewing Company, which is a company based out of Denver. Started around 1994, and they won a lot of awards for their beers. This one in particular. This one is the Yeti Imperial Stout and is as black as Jason's soul.
Oh, the face.
Let's see.
Oh, the face. face.
Their description of this thing.
He already tried in loving the faces, mate.
Yeti Imperial Stout is an onslaught of the senses. It starts with big, roasty malt flavor that gives you way to rich caramel and toffee notes. Yeti gets its bold hop character from an enormous quantity of American hops. It weighs in at a hefty 75 IBUs, 9.5% alcohol.
That's good.
It's a good Imperial Stout.
It's pretty dang hefty. I'll tell you that much.
Did you try it?
Let me tell you.
Cut it with a knife.
His face was
Imagine
contorted.
Yeti pooped in your mouth. And no, it's, you know what? I will say, so initially when, I took the first swig, I get everything that it mentions. You get the toffee notes, you get the roasted, like coffee kind of esque flavor. But man, then that bitter hits you and it sticks with you for a good 5-6 seconds.
Yeah.
And then leaves a actually pleasant aftertaste.
Just a little bit more about it. This isn't a seasonal beer, so you can get this from them at any point in time. Comes in cans, so they don't bottle it. They won an award in 2005 for the Great American Beer Festival, silver medal. 2008 for the same beer, won a bronze medal. 2009 won the silver medal. 2010 Beer Advocate Top 100 Beers on Planet Earth at number 36 with a Beer Advocate score of 94. Just for the heck of it, they put down here food pairings: grilled steak and leeks, rosemary potatoes, blue cheese, creme brulee. Creme brulee.
I could see that being good with a steak.
Yeah. It's actually not so bad the second time I come back for it. I think just initially not having any kind of taste in my mouth whatsoever. And then going straight into that just like blows your socks off. I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad, though. Just not my thing. Because, I mean, they definitely have it somewhat balanced. It's not, I don't think, just purely to be disgusting like some beers we've tried where it's, what was that one? It was an Imperial Stout that we had, Overlord. That one
sounds familiar.
That was pretty bitter. That one was bad. That one was real bad.
To me, that's not as bitter as
this is
some
getting
of the
better
stouts.
as I drink it.
Yeah.
The first initial drink, I didn't know what to expect. And it was like a punch in the mouth at first. You're like, oh. But the more you drink it and you're kind of anticipating the flavor and that bitterness, and it's not that bad. I mean, I get why it's won awards like it has. I don't think I'm a huge Imperial Stout fan, but this one's not bad.
What would you give it out of 5?
Out of 5, I'd give it a 4. I mean, it's you can't ignore the medals it's won. So I mean, it's to me, it's about 3.5 to 4. I'll give it a 4.
This is based off of like pure opinion and personal taste.
Yeah,
I'd say around a 3.5. I don't know if I'd like it enough to give it a 4, but I think it is definitely at least worthy of it.
I would order
3,
this at a bar or restaurant.
Yeah, sure.
I'd give it a 3. It's not horrible.
I recognize that it's a good beer. I really do, and I like you said, you can't deny what it's won and like the reviews that it's been given previously. But personally, it's
preference.
not my favorite.
What about you, Jared? What would you rate it?
I want to say 3.5.
3.5. So that gives us a 3.5 rating. So we'll go ahead and throw that on our Untapped. For those of you who have never used Untapped, it is a good way to rate beers, so others can kind of get an idea exactly what they're getting into before they order, so they can sit at their table and get an idea of what they're about to put inside their mouth holes. So it was actually a pretty good beer. You're going to have to thank, who was it that grabbed these again? They're somehow related to you.
My in-laws.
I don't know how they're related to you. But you have to tell them thank you so much for picking these up for us. The beers we're actually going to be covering on our next couple episodes is going to be strictly stuff they picked up from Colorado.
Yes.
That's awesome. So thank you,
So
whoever
kudos
you
out to
are.
them.
I think I know who you are, but I'm not going to say your names.
There are peeps.
Anyways, let's get into our next story, our next round of stories. This one is from the same worldnewsdailyreport.com. The headline reads, Hunter nearly killed by brutal sexual assault from 1,200-pound moose. Missanabie, Ontario, a man from Michigan is in critical condition after suffering a savage attack from a large moose while hunting in Canada. Jeremy Larson was hunting with his brother and his nephew near Dog Lake in Ontario when he accidentally spilled an entire jar of moose urine on himself. He decided to leave the group and head back to their cabin 3 miles away to change his clothes. He had about a mile left to walk when he was attacked by a male moose weighing around 1,200 pounds. Mr. Larson tried to use his weapon to defend himself. That was a big
weapon.
mistake.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
But he was rapidly knocked out after receiving many kicks from the moose's front hooves. That feels weird saying mooses.
No, that was just foreplay.
It's a flock of mooses.
While the poor man was lying on his knees, defenseless.
Oh, God.
I like how they have that
Here it
lying on
comes.
his knees, comma, defenseless, comma. The powerful animal began rubbing its massive genitals all over him, mimicking sexual intercourse.
Gosh, did it also like tie his hands behind his back too?
Say my name.
Call me daddy.
Oh my gosh. When you're trying to, it's funny. It's like the moose sitting there asking him who's a good girl, but he's got the ball gag in his mouth, so he can't answer. So it's just like, all right then, you keep your secrets. The animal assaulted Mr. Larson for several minutes before ejaculating and finally leaving him alone.
What?
Whoa!
I just want to throw out there that moose got his rocks off, came to completion on an not unconscious. He was conscious for it. It said that it just knocked him out.
The man then drowned.
The man. Can you imagine that? You're basically a Cinnabon after that. Anyways, Jeremy Larson, whose name I'm going to keep saying, Jeremy Larson, was transported by helicopter to a Toronto hospital. What I need to know is, so do you hunt moose? Is that like...
You can hunt moose.
I've heard of every other kind, elk, deer, whatever in that family range, but I've never heard of somebody hunting moose.
Where was he at?
Meese.
He was in Toronto, Canada, right?
Yeah.
No, Toronto.
Well, I mean, I know that's where they're, currently their home base for most moose.
I'm sure.
All
That'd
the
be,
rape
I mean,
to
I've
start.
seen moose heads.
I mean, I'm sure it happens, but I'm just... Is there like moose season? Like they have deer season here, or do you eat moose?
It's
is
moose
that
season.
I've never
heard of that. No.
Yeah, I've never heard of. So it's just another reason of why if you're not going to eat them, just don't hunt them because they'll rub all over you, and then you're going to feel it.
Well,
Anyways,
next thing you know, moose rape.
Well, they may be protected by their federal, province, whatever.
you can't touch me. I can do whatever I want to you. You can't touch me. Jeremy Larson, I love your name, was transported by helicopter to a Toronto hospital where doctors were unable to stabilize his condition. Or able to stabilize.
Oh, okay.
Able, sorry.
Good Lord.
I guess this is just
Thing was
hopeful
huge
dreaming.
then.
He suffers from
Broken
5
back.
broken ribs, a perforated lung, and 15 bone fractures, but doctors no longer fear for his life. You've seen those. It's like a club. So you basically got clubbed.
If you took me and Jason's arms and strapped them together,
Duct tape them together.
To say he had a smile on his face, though, or
Yes, he was,
it's like it was like the Joker from like the Tim Burton Batman, just ear to ear.
ear to ear. Your jaw has to separate to get that down. But it's what I'm thinking though is, do you remember that dude who it's kind of like, I don't know if it's an internet like urban legend or what the case is, but that guy who was trying to have sex with a horse and the horse actually mounted him and it killed him.
is that where it perforated his colon?
Yeah,
I think it was something like that where like it ripped him to shreds inside.
It's like a tree stump.
Not like a tree stump. It's more like a grown man's arm.
No, I was I was a victim of that, seeing that in high school. Somebody had
Oh,
their
I thought you were going to say you were a victim of a horse.
No, sorry. I worded that really weird, didn't I?
I was a victim of
That
that.
wasn't close.
It was a Clydesdale.
So you actually see.
He could
That's
smell
why,
the, he could
that's
smell
why
the
you're
Budweiser
such a
on that
long
bread.
person. You went. I remember when I first. There was that one period where it was like a long couple years before we'd seen each other.
it was
and
from
you went
15
really,
to 16.
Yeah.
It was the horse.
And then all of a sudden you were taller than me. Was that what happened?
Stretched his spine out.
Stretched you out. All jiggly inside. Only hours after the attack, the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry issued a warning concerning the use of moose urine. The ministry states that this is the third attack of its kind to occur in the province since 2011, and that all 3 were due to urine spills.
Okay, wait, let's back it up. He had the urine because he was doing what?
Hunting.
He was hunting.
So he was hunting a moose.
Yeah, that's why
Okay.
I thought it was strange that it was, you had a jar of moose urine, so obviously they're hunting moose. I didn't know that was a thing.
It probably would have said in the news report that he would be charged with, like, if it was illegal or if it wasn't.
Oh,
Yeah, it'd be.
well, I mean, for me, it's, kind of just nature's way of giving back, You came out there to make nature your bee, and nature made
us.
you.
It's a give and take. It's
No, there was a lot of take. It was a lot of take. I'm sure a very...
well, who knows how many he killed? Maybe he recognized him. And
You
had
killed
like
my
a scar,
family.
like a scar across his eye.
A massive erection comes out of him, and it's just like, get ready to fight. Little known fact, moose only fight with their genitals, with their penis. So the horns, strictly for show and better hearing.
He used his hands, arms, and feet to choke the animal. Officials say man acted in self-defense to kill mountain lion.
So this is two of nature just getting back. I love when stories line up like this.
This is in Fort Collins, Colorado. A trail runner has been released from the hospital and is on the mend after being attacked by a mountain lion on Monday. Colorado Parks and Wildlife officials said he was able to kill the lion in self-defense.
I like how they were going to charge him otherwise.
Yeah.
You killed one of these things. Sorry, that's going to be a huge fine. But it was self-defense? Okay. Then.
all forgiven.
Horsetooth Mountain and Soderberg trailheads closed down again on Tuesday evening as additional mountain lions were spotted near the scene of Monday's attack. Wildlife officials said the runner did everything right. When the mountain lion came up on him...
Especially that rear leg neck hold that he did on the left. That was flawless execution.
When the mountain lion came up on him, he stared directly into the mountain lion's eyes and spoke in a firm, loud voice, but still the animal attacked.
Hey, you! Get away, you!
All I can think of is, you remember that lady who woke the mountain lion up with...
Yeah.
If he would have stared longingly, then blinked hard and spoke in high frequency... and then started drumming while telepathically telling the lion where it needed to go.
It all would have
All
worked
would've
out.
changed, yeah. All worked out.
Instead, it was WWII Raw. Mountain Lion Edition.
It's incredible. Just wild to me, hiker Christine Hamilton said. A man took down a mountain lion. It's now prompted nationwide attention. From Chuck Norris memes to calls flooding Colorado parks and wildlife.
It's like mankind has never killed wildlife before. It's old news. It's what we do. It's what we're best
With his
at.
hands, though, a mountain lion.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Mountain lion, is no moose. I'll be honest with you. You're
No.
not going to take out a moose with your bare hands. Mountain lion, it could have been a relatively small mountain lion. It could have been a bobcat,
maybe.
in all honesty. And they're just saying mountain lion. And the reality was the guy was just trying to ride it and accidentally killed it.
It's a house cat.
Yeah, it was just a
Felt
house cat.
threatened.
It felt threatened. Turns out you can choke out a cat relatively easy.
We even had a few people inquire about the man's marital status. I don't... It's
Did you hear about
crazy.
that guy that killed the lion? I want his penis in me.
How's he doing? Is he married?
Is he married? Can I have genitals?
He was able to utilize some rocks that he found trailside to try and beat the animal down, and then was able to use his hands, arms, and feet to choke the animal.
Once again, if you got time to go run and grab some rocks to club it, you probably could have gotten away without killing it.
Remarkably, the man was able to hike down 1.5 miles to his car and get himself to the nearest hospital. As hikers hit the same trail less than 24 hours after the grizzly encounter, Many took extra precautions. My husband said, "I hope you brought your gun," and I did. I have a conceal and carry.
And I did.
What state was this again?
What?
What state was this?
Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Normally, I wouldn't carry my camping knife on just a hike, but after yesterday, well, just in case, another hiker said. The crews removed the mountain lion from the trail and transported him to their wildlife health lab in Fort Collins to be examined. The animal tested negative for rabies. Now we're waiting on results that will give us more on length and weight and the age pinned down. It's one of the most brave and heroic stories that I've heard in my time.
Really?
His fight or flight kicked in, and he did everything he knew to get himself out of the situation alive.
Scream and fight. I mean, that's, I guess, all you can
Grab
do.
throat.
I don't-
holding.
With your hands, arms, feet, and legs.
And a few rocks.
I don't know if I
And a
would.
few rocks and a gun.
I don't know if I would go say heroic, but at least he wasn't like trying to kill
Impressive,
the animal.
Maybe. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Impressive.
To me, I don't think it's so much as impressive, just in the fact that I really think everybody has that ability, like within them, to do that. So, I mean, all it takes is me hiding up in a tree and then pouncing on you while you're running. And you're going to have all the wherewithal to kill me. Because, you know, you're all excited, your heart's racing, you got that fight or flight. Yeah. You know, you start listening to Michael Jackson starts playing in your head.
Just beat it. Just beat it.
Funny that song pops up in my head more often than I would like to say that it does. Well, that's two nature stories in a row. So, Tim, are you going to continue on, or are you going to break the cycle?
Security camera catches prowling suspect licking doorbell for 3 hours.
Is this penthouse?
This is not forum. Yeah, let's see here.
I like it for the pictures. Dang it.
It's a tongue-lashing story. A family in Salinas, California might be ready to deliver a tongue-lashing to the prowler. Okay. I do a lot of things at 5 a.m. in the morning, but this is one of them.
I don't lick knobs.
I suck them.
That's totally different. They said, I thought the boy there's a lot of traffic. He thought, I go 5 in the morning. My son doesn't get home till 6 a.m. Then who in the heck is that? Dugan said, as he was puzzled. She was even more shocked when she watched the video. Hours of male trespasser licking the doorbell. I thought, oh boy, why wasn't that me? No, oh boy, that is just weird.
Next time you're going to come back and that doorbell is going to look a lot like my taint. As you were.
The tongue-wagging trespasser didn't stop there. Police said that he also was caught on video, to appearing to urinate on the front lawn. Police said the suspect, Robert Daniel Aurora, 33, could face misdemeanor charges for petty theft and prowling.
Petty theft? What did he steal?
As of Tuesday afternoon, he remained at large. Dugan said there was no physical damage to her home, but her family spent the rest of the weekend sanitizing their doorbells, according to the station.
Would have got a hotel. Do you think it was like a open sesame trick? It was like a mental patient trying to open the door. It's like, why won't this door open?
Why does this thing open?
Everything else I do, this too opens.
I was trying to work that in there, but thank you.
Moving on to bigger and better things. Pantsless driver dies after being ejected through his sunroof while masturbating to porn on his cell phone when the car crashed and rolled over.
Gosh, it just kept going. You can stop right there. And that's just a great...
Yep. Just drop the mic and walk off.
Just walk off.
Why did I imagine like a James Bond type of ejection seat?
A Detroit man was killed when he was ejected. I mean, the first paragraph is pretty much the title. But I'm going to say it again anyways because you really can't get enough of this.
It's wonderful.
A Detroit man was killed when he was ejected through the sunroof of his car while driving along the highway with his pants down and masturbating to porn being shown on his cell phone. Clifford Ray Jones, 58.
Sounds like a blues singer.
Hey, this guy was multitasking.
Exactly.
Down in for that.
Exactly. 58 years young, was killed instantly when his car rolled over in the early hours of Sunday morning. As well as not wearing any trousers, Jones is not believed to have been wearing his seatbelt, which may have contributed to his partial ejection from the car.
Gosh.
The accident happened at 3:30 a.m. on Sunday while Jones was traveling south on the Lodge ramp to Interstate 75. It is believed that Jones lost control of his car because he was distracted and was unable to prevent the 1996 Toyota from spinning because he did not have both hands firmly on the steering wheel because they were firmly planted on his stick shift.
Guys, Jared is in tears. He was losing it.
Oh, my.
Oh my
Wow.
What I need to know, the one report just left out what kind of porn he was watching. I would like to know exactly what kind of porn that he was actually.
Before he died.
What, was he streaming this or what was going on?
I mean, I'm assuming.
Doesn't really say.
It didn't say. It just said he was on his cell phone.
Okay.
Hey,
watch
He
this.
ejected and then was ejected.
He read a story about
ejaculated
a
and was ejected.
He was ejected twice.
yeah. It says he was reading a story about a moose and rape. And then he was like, "Boy, this gets me going."
Why couldn't this be me?
I ejected semen, and then my car ejected me.
Oh, my God.
So he came and his car came.
Wow.
If people are semen, and
But it was a partial, so it wasn't all the way out. It's kind of like when you drop your gum out of your mouth. It just-
I just picture like this guy and his like sunroof open because I think it said his sunroof
yeah, it
was
was
open,
sunroof.
and his car rolling, and his
It's just like that.
half of his body
Yeah,
is just
exactly.
sailing on the outside as his car
It's
is
exactly
rolling,
what I
his
thought,
dong and
too.
everything
That's why I was
flopping around,
losing it.
you know.
That's why it's listening.
That looks like a penis.
He probably couldn't get out of the sunroof all the way because he was had a hard penis stuck on the edge of the.
Man, there's so much going on.
Oh, it's good to be back, fellas.
Man. I don't even have anything to say about that story because it just covers everything. It's all
The
spectrum.
bases were covered. The whole thing was a joke.
It makes me feel. My face kind of hurts though, a little bit because I was laughing.
I feel like it has had an apple out.
Yeah.
It's killing me.
Haven't gotten this. Never mind. Never mind. So let's go ahead and get into our last beer of the night.
Okay, so this one is from a brewery called Tommyknocker. Again, this is out of Colorado. So if you're wondering what a Tommyknocker is, because I am, they have a little brief couple paragraphs talking about, it's called The Legend of the Tommyknockers. It says, when the Cornish miners came from the tin mines in Cornwall to work in the gold fields of Colorado during the 1860s, they brought with them their own elves, as you would. These Tommyknockers lived in the mines and were responsible for all kinds of mischief, snuffing out candles, eating lunches, and stealing tools. If a miner was kind and left food for the Tommyknockers, they often rewarded him by leading him to a rich vein of gold or even to the mother lode by tapping on the rock walls of the mine. Many a miner also claimed to have been saved by a Tommyknocker's warning of a pending danger. So magic mine elves. So this beer that we've got here it's called a Cherrywood Sour Brown Ale, and the name kind of led me to think it was going to be like lighter in color, but that's actually like deceivingly dark,
yeah,
you know.
very
But
dark.
on their website they don't have they have all of their beers listed, and this isn't one of them. But you can definitely tell by the design of the can and their logo and all that stuff that it is their beer. They just maybe it's seasonal, or maybe they're discontinuing it. But
Can you see any of the specs that are on the can itself
Let's see.
as far as alcohol content?
5.2%. So that's kind of right in that
Average.
sweet spot, it seems, for a lot of beers.
It's definitely got a good aroma to it. It's that, like, I can't say sour aroma because that's
Like one of
more
those
of a
cherry sour
stink.
balls, like,
Yeah.
close to it, I guess.
Flavor definitely is a bit sour, isn't it? It kind of hits
Yeah.
you in the jaws a little bit. And
It ends on more of like a sour, and you feel it more
Yeah.
in your jaw. It's not overwhelming though. It's actually really well mixed. The cherry and
It's pretty balanced.
hops are, pretty well put together.
unfortunately, the can, some of the beers that we have will tell a little bit more behind, like the particular brew. But this one is just kind of telling that story of the elves again that I just read.
That's classified as a brown ale.
Yes, it is a
Right.
brown ale. I'll try that again.
It's definitely good. It's one of those too where the initial drink is a little bit more intense than the following. So it's something that you can, I would say, I'd probably enjoy it a little bit more if it was colder, like real cold.
Yeah.
I think that would be,
Yeah, probably would help.
I tend to like sour things anyways, and I really enjoy the feel and flavor of that. And it reminds me a little bit more of like a cider.
yeah,
Yeah, a little bit.
I'd
yeah,
say
it
that.
does. Yeah.
just a heavier cider. But yeah, it's definitely
Even
pretty good.
it looks like apple cider almost in a way. But
It's like very dark apple
Yeah.
cider. That's
Right.
for sure.
What'd you think of it?
Honestly, I don't know why they call it brown ale. It has nothing that resembles a brown ale, in my
maybe the
opinion.
brewing, maybe the process in which they made it.
And I mean,
I just wish. I really. It kind of sucks that they didn't have any more information on it, at least
Yeah.
on their website, because I would like to know what went into the beer specifically.
usually brown ale, some sort of malt. It's roasted. But like I said, I would like some more details as well because I don't taste really any. It more looks like just for color. To me, it tastes more like. I think we've only had one on the show, but a red IPA. This is very similar to what it tastes like. So, as far as how they've described what it is, I feel like it's really
That must be
off base.
The brown ales must be a preferred beer for them because they actually have two others besides that one.
Oh yeah.
They have what's called a maple nut brown ale, and that's in their year-round, just regular blend. And then they have a specialty beer called the Old Oaked Legend brown ale too. So
Yeah, it would be interesting to figure out if they are using the UK hops or American, because those have two distinct tastes, especially with a traditional brown ale comes from the UK. So it would be something that I wish we could find out, but as far as that's
Well,
disappointing.
I mean, I think just for the most part, if we're going to go ahead and, talk about it, we can talk about at least what we know, and that's how it tastes and how we all view it. So if we were going to give this a rating, 1 to 5, what would you give it?
1.
1?
Yeah, about a 1 or 1.5. It again, it's preference, but
I actually really enjoyed the flavor of that. I'd give that a 3.5.
Yeah, I'd say 3.5 as well. We get I guess from us then, that's a 2.5 total. So, not bad.
it's not bad. No, it's not bad.
So, but that's, I was expecting to dislike both of those beers a little bit more than I did. So,
That's good. I think as we go along, it's your taste. Of course, everybody taste changes, but I remember at the beginning where no beer was really good besides German beers for you.
yeah. But, I mean, I'm also trying to look at, there's still stuff, like, obviously I wouldn't get, like that Yeti, I wouldn't go out of my way.
Well, yeah.
There's still like, my own preference, obviously. And if Imperial Stouts are your thing, I think personally you would enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
So that's, I'm trying to look at it a little more in that sense as well, because, personal preference is going to come into play quite a bit on this show. So
what I'm wondering with that particular beer is maybe it wasn't very popular. Hence why maybe it's not. Maybe that's why it's not
limited
on their website.
edition type.
Maybe limited edition. Why it's not on their website? Maybe it's not something that they plan on making on a regular basis or on a yearly basis of some sort.
Some type of seasonal thing, or maybe.
That's a big thing for me too. Like this, like as advertised, and if it doesn't match anything, then it's big. It's a big problem for me. But. That's
for
just me.
Shame.
Yeah.
For shame.
No, like the taste wasn't that bad, but I mean, if it's like doesn't even taste like it's described, it's
like Jason said, it's not overwhelming. It's kind of balanced with the sour. It doesn't leave you with like, oh man, that aftertaste is. That's what a lot of beers. Not a lot of beers, but the beer that I don't like has a bad aftertaste, which that none of these beers that we've tried today have that.
That one I did say at the end, it's a little empty.
Yeah,
you get that initial punch and the sour, and then it goes away,
drops off
really
quick.
quickly.
A little bit too quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I think if that's one thing that I could say that I would like to change about it would be that, because it does just really drop off. It'd almost be nice if it was like a little sweet taste at the end.
Yeah.
Some little hint
of sweat
and sweet mixed together, swint.
One thing I was as we've been doing this show, one thing I've learned about beers in general, and especially ones that have a bit more of like a history behind the breweries, is that for a long time I just assumed that Germany was like held the crown for old world brews and like these breweries and pubs that have been around forever. But as we've gone, England is up there too. The UK is just. So many good like beers that have come from these like breweries that have been around for ages, and and I've grown to almost. I mean, I love like a good Hefeweizen and some of those others, but like some like Sam Smith, for instance, which is like a brewery out of England, is like delicious. I like just about everything they put out.
Or a good English ale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's from the early 1800s. They've been doing it.
That's something that I just thought was kind of cool. It just kind of hit me one day, and I'm like, they're not, Germany's not the only one.
No, a lot of breweries have been around for a while. Have been in England.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
A lot of history there.
Well, gentlemen, it's been fun seeing you again. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yep, for all those who have been listening, sorry for the hiatus we went on. We wanted to take some time to really revamp the show and do our best to make sure we're bringing you the best quality as regularly as possible. So we're going back at it. We're going back at it weekly. So every week we're going to be dropping a new episode. And like we always say at the end of every episode, please go to iTunes. You can find us there. Subscribe, leave a comment. We really appreciate it. We are actually out of stickers, so unfortunately we can't send out any more stickers, but you'll have my love, and on Spotify as well.
Also, find us on Facebook, Laughs and Drafts.
We also have a Twitter at Laughs in Drafts. We have a bunch of stories that we put on there, and definitely always supplying you with tons of beers.
We are also on patreon.com/laughsanddrafts, and we are on Reddit now. You can find us there. We have our own sub, and it's due to the naming restrictions that Reddit has, you can find us at Laughs and Drafts without like the actual
ampersand.
Ampersand. Okay, I was like, I don't know if that was right or not.
What is magic
I haven't
words?
been educated, but so it's Laughs _ Drafts. So you can find us there. And we'll be posting some of our favorite beers. It may not be like episode for episode, everything we've done, but more of like stuff that we found that we've liked. And maybe any interesting stupid stories that we like.
Stupid stories. If you have any stories that you want us to read up on there, go on, get to the Reddit, get on Twitter, get at us, send us messages. We always love hearing from you, and gives us saves us from doing a little bit of digging around. I know I've gotten a couple stories from a few people that World War II sex story was sent to me by a listener, so I really appreciate that. So But
and check us out on, I forgot to mention, I'm sorry. Check us out on Instagram as well at Laughs and Drafts Pod. We have a lot of good stuff on there as well.
yeah, we're all fronts. Everywhere we go.
Everywhere. You
In your
can't get away
closet,
from us.
In your room, under your bed, wearing your clothes, smelling your clothes, licking your doorknob, licking your doorbell, sucking the doorknob.